Are we truly free to do whatever we want? Is it really that simple?
I got my ribs broken inwards, so they're still in there, but they're like just crushing my organs in there right now.
In today's video, we're going to explore the essence of morality, the pursuit of pleasure, and the concept of freedom. Von Goethe said, quote, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." The concept of whether people can do whatever they want is a complex and nuanced one. In most societies, there are certain limitations and constraints on individual behavior to ensure the well-being of both individuals and the collective. These limitations can be influenced by cultural norms, ethical principles, laws, and the social contract that exists within a society. While many societies uphold the value of personal freedom and autonomy, there are typically boundaries in place to prevent actions that could harm others or undermine the functioning of the society as a whole. For example, laws against theft, violence, fraud, and other harmful behaviors are designed to protect individuals and maintain social order. Different societies and cultures may have varying perspectives on the extent to which individuals should be allowed to do as they please versus the need for societal rules and regulations. So, the question of whether people can do whatever they want depends on the specific context, cultural norms, legal frameworks, ethical considerations of a given society, and most importantly, God's law. Let me give you a few common and known examples. A family's dog was killed by a car in front of their house. They had heard that dog meat was delicious, so they cut up the dog's body and cooked it and ate it for dinner. Nobody saw them do this. If you are a well-educated person, obviously your initial reaction is a sense of disgust. But probably you hesitated before making a judgment on this family's actions to be morally wrong. The dog was already dead and they didn't hurt it, right? And after all, it was their dog, so they have a right to its body. No? If I pushed you to make a judgment on this action, the odds are that you would have a nuanced answer, something like, well, I think it's disgusting, and I think they should have just buried the dog, but I wouldn't say it was morally wrong. Here is a more challenging story. A man goes to the supermarket once a week and buys a chicken. But before cooking the chicken, he has sexual intercourse with it. Then he cooks it and eats it. So once again, no harm, nobody else knows. But the sense of disgust that we get from this action is much stronger, and this action seems more degrading. So does this make it wrong? If you're an educated and politically liberal Westerner, you will probably give another nuanced answer. One that acknowledges the man's right to do what he wants as long as he doesn't hurt anyone. But if you are not a liberal Westerner, you probably think it's wrong, morally wrong, for someone to have intercourse with a chicken body and then eat it. Some actions are simply wrong even if they don't hurt anyone else. In 1987, moral psychology was a part of developmental psychology. Researchers focused on questions such as how children develop in their thinking about rules, especially rules of fairness. The big question behind this research was, how do children come to know right from wrong? Where does morality come from? There are two obvious answers to this question: nature or nurture. If you pick nature, then you're a nativist. You believe that moral knowledge is native in our minds. It comes preloaded in our God-described hearts or in our evolved moral emotions, as Darwin argued. Piaget applied this cognitive developmental approach to the study of children's moral thinking as well. He got down on his hands and knees to play marbles with children, and sometimes he broke rules and played dumb. The children then responded to his mistakes, and in so doing, they revealed their growing ability to respect rules, change rules, take turns, and resolve disputes. This growing knowledge came in orderly stages as children's cognitive abilities matured. Mark Twain once said that to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you ask kids about actions that hurt other people, such as a girl who pushes a boy off a swing because she wants to use it, you get a very different set of responses. Nearly all kids say that the girl was wrong and that she will be wrong even if the teacher said it was okay. And even if this happened in another school where there were no rules about pushing kids off swings. Children recognize that rules that prevent harm are moral rules, which Turiel defined as rules related to justice, rights, and welfare pertaining to how people ought to relate to each other. The children grasp early on that rules that prevent harm are important, special, and universal. And this realization, Turiel said, was the foundation of all moral development. Children construct their moral understanding on the bedrock of the absolute moral truth that harm is wrong. From these studies, it was hard to see how rationalists could explain these results. How could children self-construct their moral knowledge about disgust and disrespect from their private analysis of harmfulness? Quote, "If God does not exist, then everything is permitted." This was the famous affirmation made by the character Ivan Karamazov in the novel The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Consumers in the modern age seek to derive pleasure from the experience of consumption and at the same time meet their needs. Hedonism, which has been defined as an understanding that prioritizes delight as the ultimate goodness, a life doctrine focused on the pursuit of and the addiction to delight, comes into being as emotional satisfaction, in particular preferences concerning taste, smell, sound, sight, and touch. And this constitutes the essential motives behind such consumption. Fahrenheit 451 tells the story of Guy Montag and his transformation from a book-burning fireman to a book-reading rebel. Montag lives in an oppressive society that attempts to eliminate all sources of complexity, contradiction, and confusion to ensure uncomplicated happiness for all its citizens. As Montag comes to realize over the course of the novel, however, his fellow citizens are not happy so much as spiritually hollow. People in this world are constantly bombarded with advertisements and shallow entertainment, leaving them no space to think for themselves or assess their own emotional states. The result is a society that grows increasingly selfish, pleasure-seeking, disconnected, and empty. We see this with selling our bodies to earn some money on an online platform and call it empowering. We see this with people not caring about how much they smoke, drink, do drugs because they want to look cool and not because it is bad for their health. If they want to have this kind of lifestyle, who are we to judge them, right? Who are we to tell them to be better and to not harm themselves? This type of thought processing is very individualistic and selfish for not showing just a little care for our fellow human beings. There should be a moral and ethical compass for us to function as decent human beings in a society. For some, this ethical and moral compass is based on social-centric manner, which means that the social interactions are a result of the type of society, if it will be a healthy or unhealthy society. But in fact, this morality is based on God, where being kind, good, respectful, have dignity, and honor are the main characteristics of making good decisions. So what do you think? Are we really free to do whatever we want? Will this kind of mentality lead us to a better or worse society? Leave a comment down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.